Of course, if you can show your beautiful faces, we always love to see it. Allie, did you want to run through announcements or?
You can. You can.
I didn't want to steal your thunder.
No, I don't have a slide for it.
It's all good. So just quickly, guys, 1 month until we head to San Antonio. Super excited to see Allie, Rachel, Katie, Danielle, Megan all in one spot. For those of you guys that don't know, this is our annual leadership partner event, and anyone can go. It's open to all, and it's just a great 2-day event to really learn more, connect with the team. You guys will see a lot of us sharing all the fun, and know that they will announce next year's date and place while we're in San Antonio. So if your curiosity piques about going next year, the best way to get your ticket price at the lowest price will be when they launch the next date. So we'll share that with you guys, but I'm just putting it out there because I know there's been a lot of questions about that behind the scenes, and we would love more of you wherever we go next year. Tomorrow there'll be a new daily fire or Monday fire on your mindset tab. That's something I know more of us have been leaning into. Props to us, because that's a huge, for me, pivotal thing that I think is very vital to our journeys. Um, I think that was all the announcements I had. Anyone else have anything to share? And then I'll quickly go to recognition. So I shared quickly, I did put a slide together for this. You guys might have seen on my stories some fun recognition. And I wanted to explain a little bit about what this meant, because I never started this team. I have to say the income disclaimer. Body guarantees no level of income or success. It's all based on your hard work, diligence, or skill. So I don't get myself in trouble. But I started this team to make an impact, and I wanted to grow the team with other leaders who could reach women that I couldn't. So every single one of these women on this board are making an impact in our team, and they deserve a round of applause. Not just for the numbers, because the numbers to me and the financial freedom they're building is directly rooted to the impact that they're making. And I think it's really important to share this with you to show you what's possible for building a business online that's rooted in friendship, that's rooted in health, that's rooted in mindset, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. So super proud of, I know Megan just locked in level legacy 1, which I'm super duper proud of her. And Megan Hammond, MEG, Megan. And also Megan Word. And then Danielle just told us that she locked in Legacy 7, which is incredible. Rach is locking in 13, and I know she's growing fast. Allie, I covered you. Damn it. I thought I fixed that. She's at 17. And yeah, I need to share more often, like really what's possible, because 35 legacy, and I'll share this in the hub so you guys can look at it and what it really means in more detail, because I know it's a little hard to see, but literally any of you can do this too. And that's my point to this. Like, you guys get on these calls every Sunday. Why not share it? Why not open your mouth and learn how to do that? So that will be next week's call, sharing a little bit more about the partner opportunity in a different way. But that's what I got from recognition. I wanted to give a spotlight to that because they've been working hard, and all of you are freaking rock stars because you're here on a Sunday night starting your week right. So if you didn't already, I challenge you to take a little boomerang, take a photo that you're here, share it on your stories. You never know who else it might impact. And tonight, Allie's going to be sharing about hormone health. Unfortunately, we're going to have Ashley on, but she is sick, under the weather. So we'll get her on a live or something to share a little bit more about her story. But Allie has all the scientific background. She's a PA. So I'm really excited to share more about this, because for those of you that don't know, Autumn has a new hormone health program coming in December, which I know we all are like, tell me more. So I'm going to shut up. Again, make sure you take your photos, post it on the stories, tag all your friends that you were here, and take it away, Allie.
All right. So, as Danielle said, the reason I wanted to do this is a lot of people, if you're on Instagram, there's a lot of hype around cortisol lately. And I'm sure you've seen there's lots of different companies who are promoting lowering your cortisol, lowering your stress in order to lose weight. And it's become quite the trending topic, I would say. So I kind of wanted to go over what that really means in your body and how you can lower your stress and your cortisol. And we'll talk about all of this on your own without buying some supplements and things like that. But can I share my screen? Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, okay. So I didn't realize that Ashley was sick. So I'll kind of talk a little bit about the things that I know that she's going through also and how that's impacted her body. And then we'll get her story at some other time. So what we're going to cover is what is inflammation in your body? What does inflammation do to your body? How does it make you feel? Obviously, Ashley's story. And then what you can do to decrease how you're feeling if you have those inflammatory symptoms. And if you have questions, there's a question slide later, but if you have a question, when you think of it, just put it in the chat and I will get to it at the end. All right, so what inflammation is essentially, and this is very hard to wrap your head around, your body is a machine and it has to function in a certain way. I always think of it as we are very primitive cave men and women people, and our body is responding like we're those people because we have obviously adapted over time from caveman years, but we're still deep inside our hormones and everything else still react in that way. So inflammation is your body trying to protect itself. So it could be a minor scrape, a broken bone, some type of chronic illness, whatever. Inflammation is going to come into your body and that signals your immune system to kind of take over and heal whatever's going on. So let's take a scratch, for example. So you have a scratch on your arm. You're going to get inflammation in the area. You're going to have some pain, some redness. That's all inflammatory. Then your immune system is triggered to say, oh, there's something I need to fix. So your immune system is ramped up to heal that scratch on your arm. So that is essentially acute inflammation, which is a good thing. It's good to have. If we didn't have that inflammation, our bodies wouldn't heal. So we have to have that acute onset inflammation to heal our bodies. What we don't want is chronic inflammation. And so chronic inflammation is when everything goes awry. It's basically like your body is on hyperdrive all of the time. Like your body is never slowing down. It is always constantly on high alert. So again, you have, and this is all kind of nerdy scientific stuff, but the constant inflammation in your body is telling your immune system that something is wrong. And so you're getting those cytokines released. And cytokines are messenger cells to signal to the immune system to turn on. Lots of cytokines equals lots of inflammation. When you have lots of that chronic inflammation, your body is always on high alert, right? So when your body's on high alert, it's almost like back to the primitive days, your body thinks it's running from a bear. And so you're always in that fight or flight response. And so your body doesn't know what to do. It thinks, well, oh gosh, I've got to run from this bear. I have to be on all the time. I have no off switch. I have no rest and digest. I am on 24/7. That increased alertness to your body, heightened alertness to your body, and the increase in stress increases your cortisol level, which is where cortisol comes into play. So what happens when you're in that running from a bear phase, your body is trying to protect itself, right? So only your essential organs and things in your body are getting proper nutrients that travel through your blood. So oxygen travels through your blood as well as nutrients, and that's how your body functions. So when you're in that fight or flight scenario, you're not typically not getting the proper nutrients to your gut, not getting your proper nutrients to your reproductive organs, not getting, you're basically keeping your lungs, heart, and your brain active because you need those to survive. Everything else out the window. Muscle growth, infertility happens because of this, because of your sex hormones and your reproductive system not working. All of that all ties in to the chronic inflammation. All right, so sorry, I was looking at the chat. So again, cortisol is designed to respond to that acute stressor. Cortisol is a good thing. It's a very complicated cascade in your body that happens with cortisol. We won't go into all of that. You do not need to know that. What you do need to know is that your cortisol levels fluctuate throughout the day. So they peak in the morning, like mid-morning, your cortisol levels peak, and then they peak again in like mid-afternoon. Then into nighttime, they start to go down. When you drink coffee first thing in the morning before anything else, or glow juice, you trick your body into thinking that it's a cortisol surge. So it's very hard, but drinking water when you first get up and not caffeine immediately helps to decrease that sudden spike in your body thinking that you're spiking your cortisol. Because it's the caffeine stimulates the cascade in your body to think that it's cortisol. Again, I like this analogy. Chronic stress keeps that cortisol axis active. So I look at it as like an idling car. So if your car is idling all the time, then your car is probably not going to last as long as a car that's like turned off when you park at the grocery store, turned off when you park at home, turned off throughout the day. It's going to probably last longer over years and years and years versus if it's idling 24/7. Again, what causes high cortisol levels? It's your chronic stress, your lack of sleep, and other chronic medical issues can also cause high cortisol levels. Things that we really can't control, like things that your doctor is going to diagnose you with. We're not going to go into that because, again, that's not what we're talking about. But it's sometimes your cortisol levels can be high for a reason that you cannot control. All right, so when you have elevated cortisol levels, you are increasing your glucose production in your body. So when your glucose production is higher, you're breaking down the protein in your body, aka your muscles, to get more glucose because your body needs that glucose for energy. Elevated cortisol levels over the course of time, your body gets used to that high level of glucose in the bloodstream, which increases your resistance to insulin, which basically is the fast track to being diabetic. Also, lots of other things can happen because you're insulin resistant. It's very common, like other insulin resistance is the PCOS type people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. They have a lot of these same symptoms, but it's not caused, it's a diagnosed condition. With that elevated cortisol level, you also have decrease in sex hormone production, increase in bone loss, so osteoporosis if it lasts for a long period of time, salt retention. So you hold on to more fluid because you're holding on to more salt. So you'll notice that you're puffier, you like can't get your ring on or off, and your blood pressure can also be elevated. And then electrolyte abnormalities also go into that with the way the kidneys function too. So this is what you guys wanted to know. How will high cortisol and chronic inflammation make you feel? A lot of you probably don't know this and have probably felt these symptoms and thought it was just normal. So weight gain or inability to lose weight, bloating, especially after meals, like not a little bloating, but like you look like you're pregnant and you can't get your pants buttoned, that type of bloating. Fatigue, afternoon slump. You feel like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you have to have caffeine or have to have a coffee. You feel like you're sick all the time. Your immune system is weaker. You always have a runny nose, a cold, a cough, something like that. Headaches, migraines, are also a cause or also a symptom of high cortisol and chronic inflammation, as well as ADHD symptoms, brain fog, anxiety, and irritability. Like you feel like you're easily triggered. Like you feel like you just snap at people. You feel like people just annoy you and just make you mad all the time. Like you're just on edge. Um, Infertility issues can also come from this. It's very, very, very common to have issues with cortisol and chronic inflammation. A lot of the chronic inflammation, I'm not talking about our community because we're kind of a different subset, but in American population is how we eat, our lack of sleep, our chronic, we're addicted to our phone, addicted to our computer. We never rest and digest our bodies. We're just kind of always on high alert. The biggest thing I would say for most people though is processed foods, because those processed foods are obviously bad for us. They're obviously causing lots of issues that we don't even know about, that 30 years from now we'll realize, right? But a lot of those issues, this is very common for all of Americans, is where I'm getting with this. So I think, yeah. So over time, this is can be kind of scary, but I think can be eye-opening for some people. If your cortisol level is elevated for a long period of time and you have chronic stress, like you never feel like your body can rest and relax. You always feel like you're on edge. You're at a pretty significant higher increased risk of cancer because your immune system is always hyper alert, hyper aware. You have that chronic inflammation in your vessels, in your body. You're at high risk of cancer, diabetes, infertility issues, high blood pressure, dementia or Alzheimer's, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is a very common functional medicine diagnosis that's treated, / leaky gut, as well as chronic pain syndrome. So a lot of these can be big, scary things, right? Like things that most of us don't want to deal with. And so how can you say, oh gosh, I have those symptoms and I don't want to have this. Like, what can I do now? All right, so we were going to talk about Ashley. Ashley's story was going to be here, but since she's under the weather, Danielle, you probably know more. I mean, I know her story, but I don't know when she was diagnosed or if you want to.
Yeah, it's been a couple years for her. So you guys have probably seen Ashley's been a part of our community for a few years. Noelle and her went to college with Jacqueline and Jillian, so they all know each other. And I think a couple years ago, she started really having some of the things that Allie explained: bloating, severe pain, migraines to the point where you can't move. It's not just like, oh, I had a migraine and that sucked and I need to go take a nap. It's like I had a migraine for 3 days and I literally can't do anything else. And when you have a chronic illness, you can't have a regular schedule. And most people start thinking that you're kind of making up these things, or it's happening so frequently that, maybe it's just, oh, it's just her going through that stuff again. So I know she's had a few cysts, I believe, which had to be further examined. Her mom also has stage 4 breast cancer, so she's very cognizant of that as well. But the endometriosis is very painful. Allie can kind of explain maybe some of the science more behind it, but from what I know from Ashley, it's like debilitating. Again, like you can't just go stretch or take a walk. Um, and you become very inflamed. It can affect your fertility, which she's the same age as I am. So she is to the point where she's going to be having surgery this summer, which was supposed to already happen this past year because her ovary is so inflamed that
So endometriosis is adhesions between your uterus, your ovaries, your bladder, and your pelvic floor muscles, essentially. But it's scar tissue and adhesions. And the hard thing with endometriosis is that the only way you can diagnose it is by laparoscopically. So you have to do surgery. Like you can't diagnose it any other way. And doing surgery can increase your scar tissue and endometriosis. So it can make your pain worse. A lot of women, like my stepsister is 28, I think. She had a full hysterectomy last year because hers was so bad. She had one kid and she decided that she couldn't live with the pain anymore. And so she had a full hysterectomy, oh, minus her ovaries. Her ovaries were left. But they cleaned all of her endometriosis out because she was missing days of work. She was on the couch. She couldn't take care of her kid. I mean, it's very, very challenging. And a lot of people, because it's an invisible disease, right? They don't see you walking around with a broken arm.
Yeah, you
Like
look
people,
healthy.
and you look normal, right? And so people don't understand it. And so it's a lot of times just shoved under the rug. Even some OB-GYNs will kind of say, like, okay, you might have it, but it's very sad, very challenging. And we can get Ashley to do a little.
Yeah, I think she's gonna do a live when she's filling up to it, because again, her day to day, it changes so much. So I think it goes back to, though, how important this community is, because I know many of you sent her cards when she was about to have surgery this spring, which was really like the mindset piece. You never know who needs this in their life. And she has done the mind and body blocks, which has been helpful in the past, right? So it's just a reminder for the partners on this call that you never know what someone else is going through, and to not give up on them. And also for anyone on this call, that they can really benefit from having a supportive community, because in that sort of instance, you can really feel like you're alone and you're isolated, and all the people around you start pushing you away because it's a lot to deal with. So anyways, I'm going to have Ashley do a live or possibly hop on another call to share more about it, but I'll let you keep going, Allie.
Okay, so I wanted to go over what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. For those of you who don't know, Autumn's hormone health test group is currently going on. And so I know a couple girls in it. I know what they're doing in month 1 in terms of the way they're eating, but not their workouts, because their workouts are part of it's kind of secret. But anyways, I know ish what they're doing, but not really. So essentially, month 1, what they're doing is gut protocol, which is eliminating the majority of inflammatory foods out of your body. So no gluten, no dairy, no soy, no corn, no artificial sugar. And I'm missing one more that I can't think of. Soy. I think I said soy. Anyways, I essentially eliminated everything, to be honest. And these are my results after 2 weeks. Not only, it's not about my results and how I look. I told Danielle the other day, I did gut protocol when it first came out. And I felt great after the 4 weeks. I followed it to a T. I felt great. This time, I'm to be honest, I'm following like 90%. Like I'm not full on board. Like I had a drink last night at dinner and I was bloated today. So like I'm giving myself a little wiggle room, but I've always been an anxious person. I take CBD, I take anxiety medication. I am very anxious all the time and always feel on edge, always feel like I could snap at somebody at any minute, to be completely honest. Since I've started this, I have minimal to no anxiety. Like I would have like irrational fears, like I'm afraid my house will burn down tonight. Like we're talking like high level anxiety, to feeling fine, feeling normal. I have incredible energy. I don't feel like I love coffee. Like I love the taste of coffee, but I don't feel like I need it. I still am drinking it in the morning if I don't have Energize, but I don't feel like I need the coffee. I have less swelling in my face. Like my face is not puffy. I have minimal aches and pains. My skin is brighter. My skin is clearer. And I think Katie, I don't know if Katie's still here. She's also doing gut protocol, and I think she's lost like 10 pounds in 2 weeks or something absurd like that. So if she wants to talk, I'll tag her in a minute. But I can tell you that I feel completely different than I did 2 weeks ago. My workouts haven't changed either. I've been doing 80-day obsession the whole time. So it's not like my like all of a sudden I did something super hard workout wise, and that's why I'm seeing better results. It's all about what I'm eating. So, what can you do right now, starting tomorrow or even tonight, to decrease inflammation in your body? To not be in that run from a bear lifestyle all the time and feel chronically stressed. Drink 8 to 12 ounces of water every morning as soon as you get up. Ideally, lemon water. Doesn't have to be lemon water, it can be plain water, but water before you get up, or as soon as you get up, before anything else. I didn't add this in here, but don't look at your phone when you first get up either, because that's also going to stimulate, it's probably going to trigger something in your head, and you're going to be stressed and you're going to be thinking about something you have to do that day, or someone that made you mad or whatever. And then you're going to be in that stress response. Minimize your caffeine intake. I talk to Danielle Thurman about this all the time. I'm going to call her out. Because caffeine has such an impact on your body. You're basically tricking your body to think it needs the cortisol spike. And so then you're all just screwed up, for lack of better words. You honestly should only have like 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine a day. I would say most Americans take between 400 and 500 milligrams, like 2.5 cups of in an energy drink, a coffee and energize. It's a lot of caffeine that your body doesn't need. Also, this is hard for a lot of us since a lot of us are moms, but sleep at least 7 hours a night of sound, good quality sleep. Not you're looking at your phone every hour, you're tossing and turning. Good sleep that when you wake up, you feel rested. If you wake up and you don't feel rested, and even if you're getting up to join the morning Zoom, I challenge you to change your routine so you're getting more sleep, because long term, that's going to make the biggest difference for you. At least 7 hours, 5 hours. Your body does not have your healing of your body takes place while you're sleeping. That's like kind of your reset. If you're not sleeping, your body is never resetting itself and never healing itself. And so your inflammation is going to be through the roof. Decrease inflammatory foods. So decrease gluten, decrease dairy, figure out what triggers inflammation in your body. You have to be very in tune with your body to figure this out. So I would just take it all out. It's going to be easier to just eliminate everything versus like, well, I think I'm sensitive to gluten and only removing gluten. I would just do it all and figure out what it is that you're sensitive to. But honestly, even when I add gluten back in, I still don't feel as good. Like I know dairy is my big trigger. I've always known that. But when I add gluten back in, I don't feel as good as I did when I left it out. And so something else that I'm going to sidebar and talk about with gluten is some gluten is okay. And this gets kind of tricky. Like I'm still eating freshly made sourdough, which has gluten in it, but it's minimally processed gluten. And so it's a lower load of gluten on your body. And so you don't get that inflammatory response as often. Now, if you're highly sensitive to gluten or have celiacs, then which is gluten intolerance or gluten, you're allergic to gluten, then you probably can't do sourdough. But sourdough has fermented food benefit and all the things. So, anyways, decrease your stress in whatever way that is for you. Decrease your stress. If it's journaling, if it's writing down everything that's in your head every single day, write it down. In the morning, when you think of it, just get it out of your brain, because when it's up here, you're, even though you don't feel like you're always thinking about it, you probably are. And so you have to just get it out of your head. Like write your dump of your brain out in the morning when you're drinking your Energize, and get it off your plate. Make a to-do list from it. Do whatever you need to do to decrease that stress. Gratitude journaling, reading the Bible, reading personal development, whatever you have to do. Figure out what it is and do it. And meditations are also helpful with that. Meditations help stimulate your vagus nerve, which calms you down, which gets you back into that rest and digest state versus run from a bear state. All right, the chat is blowing up. So I'm going to stop my share and read the chat. What questions do you guys have so far? Oh, Katie, do you want to talk about how you feel after 2 weeks? You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can.
Sure, I don't mind. Um, well, yeah, I was a little surprised about the scale going down, but I'm very excited about that. I've really been trying to do like different recipes each week. Um, I think that's been my favorite part so far, but yeah, I think the way it's made me feel less anxious, the food not making my skin break out. Like I've actually tried a little bit here and there. I've been following it like 90% like y'all have. And I've noticed some changes whenever I tried the food. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not looking forward to the reintroduction phase. But yeah, I definitely feel a whole lot better. I've been a lot less cranky at work, according to some of my coworkers. um, but yeah, I recommend it. It's a challenge for sure, but it's definitely worth it.
For me, I think that I told Danielle this the other day. It's a lot of work to do it, but with how good I feel, I don't care that it's so much work, to be honest. I mean, it's not that much work. It's just making sure I don't eat dairy, don't eat gluten, and we don't eat soy anyways. And we really don't eat much dairy or gluten. So like for me in my house, it wasn't that hard. However, it's hard not to snack on my kids' dinner plates, to eat their leftover snacks, to have ice cream after dinner. But I bought a Ninja Creamy this past week, and so my life has changed. And so I'm making dairy-free Shakeology ice cream, and it's amazing. But it's challenging, but I feel so much better that I don't know if I ever want to eat dairy or gluten again, to be honest. Like I can feel like I feel like my body feels like it's supposed to feel, if that makes any sense to anybody. Like I just feel at peace with my body and how it's functioning. And that's what I want for all of you guys. Like I feel like this hormone program can seem challenging. It's gonna be different for sure. But the way that you're gonna feel, you might not feel like you need it, but it's gonna be incredible. Okay, what questions do you guys have?
Allie, can I just add real quick too, because I'm doing gut protocol too, and y'all inspired me to get back on my game and do it, which is the power of community. But I would also play devil's advocate and say it's not that hard. It's just being more intentional with your choices, right? Like so often, all of us. I was talking about this with my mom this weekend because we are raised on like low fat and lean cuisines and going like focus so much on the scale. What do you weigh based on your BMI? And you guys know how I feel about that. Excuse my French if there's kids around, but that's bullshit. Okay. It's more the ingredients in your food. It's learning about what you're putting in your body. The biggest tip, if you want to be more on game with your nutrition, is only shopping the outside aisle of any grocery store you go into. That is like the simplest way to pick better food. Um, so for me, it really hasn't been that hard. It's just being more intentional of making sure I get in the proper amount of nutrition of what I need. So why would you go back to doing, it's not like you can never enjoy anything either. To me, it's all about mindset, right? It's like, okay, I had a drink with my mom this weekend too, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. But tomorrow I'm going to be on my game to feel my best and know that you're going to feel a little off after it. So you just become more in tune with your body, like Allie said. Two other tips I just wanted to give real quick. There's a really great gut health documentary on Netflix if you want to learn more about this. And it's a little woo-woo, but like it's important to understand when you guys think about the scary things that Allie shared, this is important. Who wants to deal with massive health issues, and we have control over that by what we eat every single day. That's really, really, really important, not just for you, but for also your kids and to teach them too, right? The other thing I wanted to share is I've been making sure my walks are after I eat when I do them because it helps with digestion. It helps with sleep. It helps with all the things that Allie mentioned. So these are easy, small tweaks. Having the water before you're energized, walking after you eat, that any of us, it's easy to do. I'll let anyone else share any questions they have.
I just wanted to say something else too, is that I don't want to scare you with saying those health things can happen to you, but what I'm trying to tell you guys is that, and I tell my patients this all the time, is it's in your control. You choose how you sleep, what you put in your body every day, and how you live your life. I'm not here to tell you to do it a certain way, but I'm telling you that if you do it X, Y, and Z way, that your longevity of life will probably be longer. Probably, things can happen, but you drinking 600 milligrams of caffeine a day and sleeping 5 hours a night is directly related to those long-term health issues. So you're in control. You can make the changes. They're not that hard for living a long life for your kiddos, if you have kids, or for your family or future kids. But you're in control, and we're all here to help you. So if you feel like you want to do, don't feel called out. I'm sorry, Christine. If you want to make those changes, then send me a message. I'm happy to make a meal plan for you and figure out what you can do to do. Again, what Danielle said, yes, don't like say, well, I'm throwing all my things out in my pantry and fridge tomorrow and gonna go grocery shopping and get everything else. No, start with one thing. Get rid of some, sleep more, drink more water. Start with those. And you're gonna feel better. You're not gonna be on edge, and you're just gonna feel good. And that's what it's all about. Any other questions?
This was great, Allie. Yeah, like Katie said, Katie's a great resource because this is the first time she did gut protocol, and Allie and I have done it before. So I feel free to reach out to her too. Like, habit stacking is so key. And we could sit on here for another hour and help with that. But like even Laura said, doing a meditation before bed, you guys all have access to body. What if you got off this call and instead of going and scrolling your phone, you went and put a meditation in your ears? Right? Start with one small thing that takes 5 minutes and lose the scrolling time that you're probably going to go sit on your phone for 30 minutes. We all do it. I know you all do because I see you watch my stories. But call yourself out and remember that it's just one small thing at a time. What's one thing? So when you get off this call, I want you to go on our message pod and share the one thing you're going to start doing this week or take away, whichever you want to do, that you learned, and one thing you learned from this call from Allie, and then meditation or reading or journaling or whatever it is before bed tonight instead of scrolling. Deal?
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Danielle. I'm laughing at Katie's kid. And
It's all good.
her mask is killing me right now.
Love it. Family affair. All right, guys. We will not have a Sunday night call next week because it's Memorial Day. So our call will be the following Wednesday. I'll put up the details about that. I hope you have a fabulous week. Sleep well so you can move well. All right. I love you guys and thanks for filling our calls. Love to see you all here. Bye, guys. Thank you, Allie.